income inequality issue, and what do you think should be done about it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Income inequality is fundamentally tied to the capitalist mode of production, mean of production that the United States utilizes. It's part of what preserves the kind of reserve army of the working poor that the capitalist class can mobilize when they need to fill gaps, when there's strikes or when there's righteous and justified actions against the actions of these big corporations. And fundamentally, we can't really, I think, address income inequality as effectively as we should without acknowledging the class kind of dynamic within this country between the working class and the ruling class, the owning class that owns the property that owns, for lack of a word, the factories, the farms, the things that produce all the wealth in this country. And a lot of this conversation that we're talking about how do we address income inequality? Well, it's like, okay, well, you win the U.S. House of Representatives, you get to take that political platform, and we're expecting these same ruling class factions of people, these oligarchs who, like, frankly, the stock market is 87% owned by the same top 10% of income earners. That's who benefit from the stock market. We're asking these people to pass legislation and ultimately uphold laws that take money from their own pockets. They're the same people that have the control over the vehicle of power. The people that have control over Congress, the people that have control over local and federal government aren't, working people. They're not made up of working class people. They're coming from a class of ruling class people with direct ties to the owner class of this country. And as socialists, our solution is we have to address that real material class contradiction, that we can't expect the people who have power, the ruling class of this country, the owner class, to basically abolish income inequality unless we have an organized and disciplined movement of people willing to fight, like what we saw in the 30s, right? And what we saw in the heyday of the American labor movement that abolished things like child labor, that abolished things like working 12-hour days for 6 or 7 days of the week. And income inequality, I think, can only be addressed when we've eliminated from society and eliminated from our economy the rule of the owner class and of the capitalist class as the way that our economy is structured. We can't have, I think, we could try to win, I think, certain concessions and reforms, which we should do, and which is like the whole purpose of our platform and our campaign is to go out there and organize people to demand higher wages, to demand human dignity in their workplaces. But we're not going to fundamentally, because at the end of the day, the system right now possesses the means of control. They have the police, they have the prisons, they have the media that's able to tell us it's our fault that we're not making 70,000 plus or 6 figures as media consultants or Bitcoin miners or influencers or whatever. There's all of this superstructure and structure that's there to keep us away from actually having control over the means and modes of production that we have to use. I think really, we got to fight for those reforms, but we have to really fundamentally address our enemy, not as just individuals within the current economic structure or like benchmarks that we should be trying to reach for like dollars that we earn per hour or something like that. I think we should be shooting for control over the means of production, creating a society that is, not based on just producing as much garbage as we need to just increase a profit, but based on what people actually need, the amount of housing, the amount of material needs they need. I think that ultimately needs to be our long-term goal. But in the short term, yes, we address income inequality by basically combating these large corporations, by nationalizing, frankly, things like Amazon, which frankly are built on things that we've all paid for, roads, things that we've already contributed to. I mean, Jeff Bezos didn't invent the internet. Elon Musk used basically University of California, Davis as his research facility for his Neuralink, I don't even know what you call them, nightmare experiments that he's trying to do. So, I mean, like our public resources are already going into creating all of this wealth. It's just privatized and held away from us. And we need to nationalize that wealth. And that's how we can abolish income inequality. You make it illegal.